Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How You're Getting Effed. I'm your host, Louis Rossman. Today we are going to be talking about a car that is created by a smartphone manufacturer. You can probably already see where this is going. Many people on this channel will say things like, you're an idiot if you buy an Apple product. What kind of moron will buy a Samsung? You get what you deserve for buying a OnePlus. All this kind of stuff where people will like to tout their own ego at the expense of not just other people, but society as a whole. See, many people like to think that they are the genius. They are the one that did the proper research to buy a good product. And if only you were smart like I was, then you wouldn't be dealing with this. When in reality, what these people who are putting their own ego above what is good for society don't realize is that when one company gets away with doing something that's anti-consumer, every other company tends to follow, particularly when their market cap goes up as they do these anti-consumer things. So when you have a smartphone company like Apple that does stuff where you replace a part in the product with another part from one of those same products that came from an Apple store, and it doesn't work, other smartphone companies are going to copy that. And unfortunately, sometimes those smartphone companies go on to create motor vehicles, as you can see over here. This is a news article about Xiaomi, dude, they don't teach you how to say this shit in New York City public schools. I don't want to hear a fucking word out of you. Xiaomi SU7 cannot do OTA updates due to changed lights. And it says over here, several car owners have reported problems with these over-the-air updates, with an upgrade error being reported. This occurs when owners replaced upgradable parts, such as headlights, with non-Xiaomi ones. All such parts have security keys for authentication management. We are talking about a headlight here, a light. A bulb, something that creates light. During an over-the-air update, these keys will be verified, and the upgrade cannot occur if there is a mismatch between the identification keys. According to a Xiaomi official, if the original part is refitted, then the upgrade can be fully installed. Maybe they're doing this because they don't want people installing aftermarket headlights, because if they're not as good, it could potentially cause accidents on the road.
I don't care.
Maybe they're doing this to combat theft so that there's not an incentive structure anymore for somebody to steal your headlights.
I don't care.
Maybe this is not an issue of serialization where it notices that you have installed a different part and it decides that that's not going to work just because it's a different serial number or something like that, or different keys, but rather it's a calibration routine, as I mentioned in this actually video, where engineers like to point out that serialization is where it notices that the serial number on the part has changed even if it's the same part, whereas calibration is a different thing, when different parts have different tolerances, and in order to give you the best experience when parts have different tolerances, as these things get smaller and more complicated, a calibration routine needs to be run so that it works properly.
I don't care.
Why don't I care? If we were talking about safety, do keep in mind that for the past 100 years, get rid of this nonsense amnesia that you have. In the past 100 years, you have actually been able to replace the brakes on your 4,000-pound vehicle that can go down the road at 80 miles an hour. You're allowed to do that because we value freedom in our society to an extent over this type of tyrannical corporate garbage that is designed to pad their profits over while claiming security. If we're talking about the issue of theft, which is what many simps are doing in the comment section, and I will call them that, these are corporate bootlickers, this is the correct method by Xiaomi. Sure, it may appear mechanically compatible, but the internal third-party electronics and firmware is totally unknown. It also helps prevent parts theft, which is an issue in the West. It's hard for me to tell whether these are Xiaomi shill accounts doing reputation management on behalf of Xiaomi. Is this astroturfing? Or are people actually this brainwashed into believing that you are better off not being able to replace parts of what you own, what you bought and paid for, with parts of your choosing to prevent theft? Again, for over 100 years in the United States, you've been able to replace the headlamps on your vehicle with a headlamp of your choice. And they have now taken that ability away from you. Let's say that the issue over here is about the CAN bus or something like that, and how this headlamp can corrupt the firmware.
I don't care.
Maybe the issue is that with modern vehicles, and I'm just throwing things out there to try and steelman their argument, that they have the sensor that can tell if a car is coming your way on a two-way road. And if you have auto high beams on, it may turn those high beams off when it senses that vehicle, and that is done on a CAN bus, or they need to know that it's their original headlight that's there so that that feature continues to function properly.
I don't care.
If the issue that we're talking about here is that there is some issue with a sensor in the headlamp that senses an oncoming car, perhaps that sensor can be installed somewhere else on the car where it is not in the headlamp, so that I have the ability to use a headlamp of my choosing. Integrating everything into one part is a way of making manufacturing cheaper. It is. And since you're manufacturing less parts, that means that there's a lower chance of failure overall because you have to deal with one part rather than two. You also have to deal with less parts transfer and logistics in the whole supply chain. It makes things cheaper. But at the end of the day, that is not passed on to the end customer, nor is that something that makes my life easier. It is something that makes my life harder. There is a gentleman whose name I forget, and it's very unfortunate that I did. It's on the tip of my tongue. He did an excellent video, and I'll pin the comment if anybody finds it, on a Ford truck where somebody was paying thousands upon thousands of dollars as a result of putting aftermarket headlamps in his car. And after he put the aftermarket headlamps in his car, it killed his entire vehicle. It would no longer start up. This is a result of the car having a computer and the headlamp assembly, because it is no longer just a headlamp. It is an assembly. There's a bunch of other crap that they put in there. It connects to the car computer. So if you have a headlamp assembly that connects to the car computer and you have purchased an aftermarket headlamp that does this poorly, you can actually take down the entire car computer, which is an argument that, see, look, aftermarket headlamps can be bad for your car. However, if we were designing things in a different manner, this would not be the issue. I completely understand the idea. Let's make the car cheaper by having, I don't know, the bumper sensor and everything else, all the different things in the car in one assembly, because that means that we only have one part that we have to have in inventory, because it makes it cheaper to manufacture, cheaper to transport, cheaper across the entire logistics chain. That's never passed on to me. As many people who may have been seeing anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 dealer market adjustment fees over the past few years might have noticed, those cost savings from manufacturing things in a way where it is easier for it to fail if one thing goes wrong, or where you're not able to replace parts in the car with parts of your choosing, the savings doesn't ever seem to be passed on to you. Cars seem to be getting more and more expensive as the manufacturer continues to put more of these cost-saving measures into the vehicle. When I bought a ceiling fan, most ceiling fans at the store were the type of ceiling fans where they have a proprietary bulb. And people who engineer ceiling fans actually said that this is a way of getting a better fan. They are able to make the bulbs in a way where the fan naturally cools the bulb, so maybe they last longer. And further, because you are shipping one part instead of two, it allows them to simplify the manufacturing process, which means lower manufacturing costs and faster manufacturing. However, in spite of the fact that this is supposedly cheaper to manufacture, all of the ceiling fans that had the bulb built into them are actually more expensive than the ones where I can screw in my own bulb after putting in high-quality Philips bulbs. And further, of course, the replacement LED is proprietary and not available to the manufacturer, meaning when it dies, I have to buy a new fan. This is why when engineers point these things out, I don't necessarily care as much for the reasoning. Technically, you are correct. In the long run, when you look at how it actually affects the consumer, you are wrong. I do not want to replace a ceiling fan. That costs almost twice as much because the bulb has gone out. It's not cheaper for me, even though it's cheaper for you. Make the bulb available, and you can build whatever the hell you want into the fan. Don't make the bulb available, and you can suck my dick. In this case over here, if we're talking about the bulb and the sensor, perhaps we could just have the sensor somewhere else. I don't care if it costs you 19 cents more, buddy. I want the ability to replace my own fucking headlight with a headlamp of my choosing. If we are talking about the CAN bus in the vehicle, then that does beg the question. And to be clear, I'm about to be very, very ignorant here. Usually when I do these videos, I'll actually reach out to people that work in that industry a little bit and probe them with a lot of questions. I haven't done that here. Big disclaimer. This is going to come off as very ignorant to engineers. Are you ready? Why the fuck is there a data line in my headlight? Bruh, I want two connections to my headlight. I want two connections. Ground, power. Ground, power. Ground, positive. That's it. That's all I want going to my headlamp. Nothing else. Why does my headlamp have to speak to my car computer? What, to tell me when it's dead? I don't give a fuck. I can see when my fucking headlamp on my car is dead because I turn on the light and it doesn't light up on one side, which is how I know that I need to buy another one. And if I'm not able to see that the headlamp on my car is dead, that means that I am so blind that I should not be driving to begin with, and I'm probably going to crash into somebody else anyway. If I am that high, if I am that blind, if I am that drunk that I cannot tell that my headlamps are not on at 11 p.m. at night driving down I-35, I've probably already crashed into somebody before we even gotten to the question of headlamps. I don't like the fact that this is becoming normalized. I don't I don't care. And again, I'm not against technological progress. I think technological progress is a great thing, but you need to give the tools to the people who own these vehicles, to the people who own these devices, to be able to do all of this. Not just make it available to the owner, make it available to repair shops, make it available to everyone. There are companies that will actually make these tools available, like what Apple does. However, they do it on very limited terms. I would have to join the independent repair provider program to be able to work on this as a repair shop, which means that I would not be allowed to do a lot of the repairs that I do, because in their documentation, it says they're allowed to go to my shop, look through my shop, and they're allowed to audit me if I have things there that I'm not supposed to have. And something tells me some of the chipsets that they tell Intersil Texas Instruments specifically to not sell to anybody else that I have there in large volumes are things that they would be aggravated at. Many of the LCD sells by themselves, and so on and so forth. If I were to use their self-service program, I don't have to sign an NDA or any of those agreements, but I have to get the customer's device and their serial number to order any individual part. I cannot stock the parts. Stocking parts is what made us competitive and a good option as a repair shop. I wanted to be a responsible repair shop owner back in the day. Being a responsible repair shop owner means not ordering a part when a customer asks me to do a repair. Being a responsible repair shop owner means that I am going to have all the parts in stock, so you can call me, you can come by 10 minutes later, and I can do the repair in 5 minutes. This is from archive.org. This is something that I've been discussing on my website for like 15 years. Granted, this is a very, very cheesy comic you see over here, but it says, yeah, the repair takes a week. Oh, we're all out of parts. 1 week later, he's opening the one part he got. Yeah, I have to reorder the part. You have to wait another week. And then when you come to Rossman Group, you have the little sheep over here, and he says, come in. Sure, that takes 20 minutes. He has an entire box full of LG parts over here, and then he says, here you are, inside of 20 minutes. The way that manufacturers are doing this is if you want to get access to the calibration tools, you have to go through their system. And when you go through their system, rather than just give you access to the things in the way that makes sense, you can only do it one time when you're actually dealing with that particular repair, which is a royal pain in the ass. There are many ways within which manufacturers are going in this anti-consumer route while pretending to be consumer. I am not against the progress of technology. I think the progress of technology is a great thing. Put as much tech into everything you want. However, if you are going to put tech into things and limit my freedom as you do it, which was not done over the past 100 years before very recently, then I'm going to be against it. I don't want any technology in any of my shit. If you are going to take away my freedom with each new technological advancement and revolution, even if it's one that will benefit me, I would like to stop making the mistake of accepting those technological revolutions. I don't want to make the mistake of being okay with getting something that's a little bit more high tech without taking into consideration the lack of freedom that comes as a result of it. If this is what you are going to do, then I want my headlamp to have positive ground. That's it. Am I going to be giving up some features or functionality? Maybe I am. I don't know. I'm not an automotive engineer. I don't give a fuck. And in the immortal words of this lovely parody video from 15 years ago, I don't care. I don't care. Maybe there is a good reason for this. Maybe I am truly fundamentally ignorant. I don't care. Do you?
I think I need to go chop off my own dick now. Yes. I think I will. I don't need my children growing up in a world populated by dipshits like you.
I need an iPhone 4.
Holy fuck, if you don't leave I'm going to fucking go find one for you, and shove it so far up your ass.
I want the one with the bigger GBs.
Oh god. I think I just had an aneurysm. I'm dying. Are you happy? Your fucking stupidity has killed me. Now my goddamn cat is homeless. I'm no longer alive.
There may be actual genuine engineering reasons that make the car better as a result of them having keys for security in the headlamps. Maybe there are. And whatever those are, I am more than happy to give any of those up if it means there is an even 1% chance that you have any say in the headlamps that I put in my car. Maybe there are technological advancements that would make things better. I really don't care though. Do you? That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video.